Now, in the previous lecture, I talked about basic concepts and principles of creativity and innovation. Now, in this lecture, I'm going to present the subject of how to manage innovation in organizations. What are the systems, policies, practices that would enable the organization to apply and utilize new ideas to create value and to enhance their performance. In this regard, something that needs to be emphasized at the start. There is no one best way to manage innovation. Innovation management, the practices, the policies, the methods, the approaches vary depending on the conditions of organizations and depending on the environment and depending on the type of management and depending on the history and depending on the type of people inside and depending on what type of sector, what type of there are all kinds of factors that vary across organizations and they make it impossible to come up with a list of prescriptions or guidelines or best way to manage innovation in organizations. So organizations vary in the degree to which they consider innovation as a strategic endeavor, to consider innovation as part of their strategic vision, and as an important element or important factor for their competitive advantage, for their competitive strategy. This depends on the kind of environment they operate in. If the environment is stable, if they have monopoly, if there are no changes, if they control what is taking place in their sector, if everything is stable and relatively, not changing. Of course, this would result in the organization not engaging in strategic innovation, not getting innovation to be a part of their strategic vision or competitive strategy. Another factor is management philosophy, management system. If you have a team of managers, if you have a team of executives who are cautious, conservative, not risk-taking, risk avoiding, if they like to maintain the status quo, they like to have stable conditions. If the system of management in the organization is based on formalization, centralization, rules, standardized procedures, of course, this system of management and management philosophy would not suggest, would not push for getting innovation to be part of the strategic direction of the organization. Generally speaking, organizations operating in a dynamic, changing, uncertain environments tend to seek more innovation as a means to adapt to this environment, as a means to succeed in this dynamic and competitive and changing environment. And vice versa, organizations operating in stable environment characterized by a great deal of predictability, certainty, non-changing market conditions, limited competition, would not feel the pressure to be innovative, would not adopt innovation as part of their strategy. On the other hand, organizations with ambitious, risk-taking, and high achievement executive team, if you have the executive team, the top management of the organization to be very ambitious, they seek high success, they put or they formulate high ambitious goals. If they don't mind risk, if they welcome risk, they are risk-taking, and if they seek continuous upgrading of the performance and the achievement of the organization, of course such a team is likely to pursue a high degree of innovation and change in the organization. And of course vice versa. A management team that is characterized by limited ambition, less risk averting or risk avoiding, and low achievement motivation would not pursue innovation and change, would like to maintain and keep the status quo. Okay. The challenge for innovative organizations is how to balance a number of conditions, a number of factors. One such set of factors is how to balance current competitive advantage through efficient utilization of current capabilities, experiences, and resources, and also to utilize and make use and create value of past innovations, past application of new ideas. Okay. We call this exploration, which is present-oriented. Now, how to balance this with another set of conditions or factors. Future competitive advantage. Not the current, but the future competitive advantage that we would like to acquire, would like to get, would not be able to get it except through new ideas that we can apply to our systems or our product or our technology or our ways of doing things. And how to utilize the dynamic capabilities of the organization. We call this exploration. Exploration. The first is exploitation. Exploitation of current capabilities. Okay? Exploration is seeking and exploring and searching for new innovations and new ways of doing things, and of course this is future oriented. Generally speaking, organizations innovate by increasing their generation and stock of useful new ideas, and by applying them in new conditions. This could take place by encouraging the research and development unit, for example, to engage in experimentation and research and coming up with new technology, new products, new ways of doing things. It could also take place by encouraging the various teams and various units to collaborate among each other and to cross the boundaries of their functional specialties to establish dialogues, collaboration, communication, to come up with new innovations that can be applied. This, if it is a continuous process, there will be a continuous generation of new ideas. Now, the new ideas represent assets. We could call them assets. Assets, knowledge assets, innovation assets, innovation stock of ideas and creative solutions and applicable innovations. Now, not all the ideas that would be generated would be all applied at once. What innovative organizations do is that they try to gather and stimulate and gather and accumulate these ideas and get them to be a part of the knowledge assets, the knowledge stock. And they decide later on what of these ideas that could be applied, that could be introduced. But innovative organizations they have a tendency to generate new ideas and new applications and to experiment with new technology, with new products all the time, and keep them a part of the stock of knowledge or the stock of innovations. They also foster, innovative organizations, they also encourage or foster innovation through recombination of ideas that are developed in different units or in different settings or in different domains or in different specialties. How to combine these ideas, how to synergize and integrate and complement these ideas to come up with something that could be of value to the organization. Recombination of ideas, ideas that have been generated through different units or settings or domains, how to combine them to come up with something that is useful and of high value and could enhance performance. This could take place internally in the organization through creating cross-functional teams. In innovative organizations, you don't have highly specialized functional units that are separated from one another, that are not connected with one another. So they tend to create teams that, for example, involve specialists in product design, specialists in production technology, specialists in marketing, specialists in logistics, specialists in finance. And the team that is composed would involve these various specialties. And not just one team that is formed in the organization, but many different teams are formed, are set, and they are assigned the same mission, the same task, is to think for the future, is to think for new ideas that can be applied to enhance performance. These are called cross-functional teams, and they are set to compete with one another, but not destructive competition, not negative competition, but competition to come up with better solutions, better ideas. Organizations also facilitate this recombination through linkages, collaborative linkages between subunits. They encourage the various subunits to communicate with one another, to integrate their work, to collaborate on common ideas, on common projects. They also engage in recombination of ideas through promotion and encouragement of active experimentation and exploration. Actively encourage the various teams to try new things, to experiment with new ideas, with new methods, with so on and so forth. And they also do the recombination of ideas through creating a constructive, competitive atmosphere among the competing, as I said, the competing teams or subunits. Not destructive competition or destructive rivalry, but rather we compete to enhance the good of the organization, the good of the firm. We compete to come up with new ideas that can be useful for the firm. Okay? What I talked about is internal recombination of ideas. As I said, through cross-functional teams, through linkages among subunits, through, as I indicated previously. Now, there are also means and approaches to enhance external recombination of ideas. Meaning what? across organizational boundaries, across firms, across companies. This could take place through three different approaches. Horizontally, combining existing knowledge from similar industries or through benchmarking. Kind of searching and identifying what is new, what is ahead, what are the innovations that are being introduced or about to be introduced in the industry that I'm in or in similar industries, or by comparing what I do with what the best in the sector, the best firm in the market, the so-called benchmarking. This is the horizontal recombination of existing knowledge. Now, there is also the vertical recombination. What is meant by vertical? Organizations usually occupy a location or a segment in the value chain or the supply chain. Now, it's either by collaborating, combining, cooperating with sources of supply to come up with, for example, just in time, the technique or the system of just in time that reduces the investment in inventory cannot be done unless organizations and firms, companies collaborate with their suppliers, and the suppliers also respond and adjust their system to the needs of the such firms. This is called upstream partnering upstream with their suppliers. There is also the downstream with the distribution channels. It's not with the suppliers, it's called, I could also collaborate to come up with maybe logistical solutions, maybe a faster way of delivering the product to the customer, maybe enhancing the time it takes to serve or fulfill the demand of the customers. It's called downstream with the distribution channels. There is also a third way of external recombination. I mentioned the horizontal recombination, I mentioned the vertical recombination, and if I am a holding company, a multinational company that operates in different countries, the parent organization may collaborate with a subsidiary, may cooperate with a company or a firm that is part of the total system of the holding company. So it is collaboration between the parent organization and the subsidiary or the internal venture within the corporate or holding or multinational framework. let's talk now about the role of executive leadership in the organization for the promotion, enhancement, and effective utilization of innovation. No doubt that in all innovative organizations, one major factor in this regard is the role of executives, the executive team. It is so crucial in promoting and supporting innovation and adaptability. On the one hand, how to keep up with the changes, how to be leader in your sector, how to introduce new products, how to introduce new technologies, how to be adaptive to the dynamic, changing nature of your market or your environment on the one hand, and how to maintain efficiency on the other hand. Balancing adaptability with efficiency. Balancing innovation with exploitation. Balancing exploration with exploration involving venturing, delving or venturing into something new, with how to utilize efficiently the current resources that you have. The success of the organization lies in maintaining the balance between adaptability, innovation, and efficiency, and exploitation, seeking in this regard. Balancing the two. How to be change-oriented and how to be, at the same time, efficient, meaning present-oriented. Balancing the two requires a great deal of talent, a great deal of capability on the part of the executive team of organizations. The challenge of managing different types of uncertainties also is a major challenge for the executive teams of innovative companies. Managing the market uncertainties, managing the changing conditions of the market, the aspects in the market, maybe customer taste, maybe customer preferences, maybe competition, maybe demographic changes in the market. This is market uncertainty. Market uncertainty. Another type of uncertainty is technological uncertainty. Technological, the new technological innovation that take place within my sector, within the sector in which the organization operates. How to also manage your uncertainties related to the organization itself. People who, for example, leave the organization. People who terminate their employment, the turnover, the changing conditions of the manpower, for example, within the organization. The last type of uncertainty relates to the government regulations. If the government changes the laws and the regulations and the various policies, how to adapt and how to cope and how to manage this regulatory uncertainty. Okay? There are certain factors, certain requirements for organizations to be effective in innovation, to be successful in introducing and utilizing innovation. First, internal collaboration and inter-team competition at the same time. Within the team, collaboration. Across the cross-functional teams, there need to be competition. So how to balance collaboration on the one hand and competition within the organization on the other hand. Structural characteristics. Organizations that are run or managed through formal rules and regulations and communication network are not likely to be enhancing or to be encouraging innovation. So the profile, the characteristic of the innovative organizations in this regard would be to apply low formalization. Low formalization. Meaning what? Relying on informal means of communication, informal means of interaction, informal means of getting together and collaborating and sharing ideas and so on. Organizations that seek to be innovative need to apply low centralization. Meaning what? To be decentralized, to empower their lower level units, to be also to be results oriented and to apply results-based management. Organizations that are highly centralized would discourage innovation that come from lower levels. But organizations that want to really be innovative, it need to allow people at lower level to come up with new ideas and to experiment and to explore and to apply a system of results-based management. Organizations that are innovative usually have other set of profiles, other than what I mentioned. They are market and customer oriented. You give a great deal of emphasis on how to address market needs and how to address customer demands and needs. So to be market oriented and to have organization culture supportive of innovation. We know that organization culture contain the values, the traditions, the rituals, the ways of thinking, doing things. Cultures that are rigid, cultures that are old-fashioned, traditional, cultures that emphasizes what we have been doing and kind of worshipping such a tradition. Cultures that are not flexible would inhibit innovation. So we need a culture that is innovation-based, that is flexible, that encourage people to collaborate and to just explore new ideas and new applications. There are also characteristics of human capital, of the human resources of the organization that also needed for the organization to be innovative. Organizations that seek a great deal of innovation, they look for people with very high competences and people who are ready to work in teams, people who like to venture, who like experimentation, who like to explore changes. So the qualities of people, their capabilities, their competencies, their risk-taking, their collaborative tendencies represent important features, important characteristics that innovative organizations need to have. Okay. This is the last transparency, and it has a number of additional conditions that are needed to enhance and to manage innovations effectively. Managerial practices supportive of innovation. Enhancing, part of this, enhancing the organizational dynamic capability. What is the organizational dynamic capability? Dynamic capability involves innovative, adaptive, and absorptive capabilities. How to come up with new applicable ideas, and how to be able to internalize, integrate it, and to be adaptive to the change that is involved in this regard. It also requires nurturing a creative and innovative culture. It involves empowering employees to create and to innovate, give them the leeway, give them the authority and the power to make decisions and to be responsible. To define also the domains and the areas and the demarcation of risk. It is not empowering, doesn't mean that I give the authority and the power to the people below me. No. Without any conditions. No. I need to make this empowerment effective, and to get this empowerment to be contributing to innovation is to define the risk tolerance, to define the conditions, to define the domain, to define the rules, to define the parameters that I'm going to use to judge what, or to evaluate what people do, or the kind of decisions that they make. To clarify accountability, defining the KPIs, for example, to define the standards, to define the means by which I'm going to measure or evaluate performance, providing balanced autonomy. Balanced means that not unlimited autonomy, but autonomy that would contribute to empowerment and would contribute to enhancement of innovation and performance. To provide personalized motivation and recognition, to be able to recognize people's contribution to ideas, contribution to suggestions, innovative suggestions, innovative proposals, innovative applications, and to provide incentives. There is no use if, for example, I encourage people or ask them to be innovative and I don't have means to recognize those who come up with good innovations. I need to have a system that enables the collection of innovative ideas and to sort them out and to recognize the people who contributed these suggestions or proposals, and to provide incentives. And the incentives here don't need to be, by the way, financial all the time. They could be a mix of financial and non-financial rewards and incentives. Another important element in this regard is how to use customer experience and the knowledge generated out of customers. Their experience with the product, their experience with the use of the product, their how do they use that product? What are the logistical aspects associated with utilizing the product? For example, at home, where do people store it? How do people use it? Getting information from the customer on their use and utilization of the product, and getting them also to participate, not all of them, but a sample of them, to participate in product development for innovation is very important. Companies that come up with a new product or a change in a current product, they examine lots of aspects related to this product, and they also get lots of information from the customers, a sample of the customers, but also they actually do give a sample of the customers, the new product, and ask them to use it and to provide feedback, so that the organization would collect information regarding the reaction and the evaluation and the ideas of the customer, their reflection, their feedback on the various aspects of that new product. Last item is to develop strategic alliance and network for innovation. The company engages in collaborative relationships with other firms to create the so-called strategic alliances and networks among various firms for the sake of collaborative innovations across these various firms. For example, let me give you an example here. The corona pandemic that we are all suffering from, the whole world is suffering from now. Research centers and research and development units in large pharmaceutical companies and research centers in scientific institutes and universities are actively engaging in search, experimentation, exploration, and collaboration among themselves in trying to come up with a vaccine for the COVID-19. The product that would come out at the end would probably be out of collaborative work that has been done by these various entities or these various organizations. Okay? This is to finish the subject matter, and I wish you good learning, and good luck.